Good evening. We can go on the record.
We're on the record, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening. Today is March 22nd, 2023. My name is Jennifer Grace. I am the Public Utility Law Judge assigned to handle Public Service Commission case number 9684, which is the application of Rosehip Cleantech, LLC for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to construct a 4-megawatt solar photovoltaic generating facility in Somerset County, Maryland. We're here tonight for an evening public comment hearing. The purpose of this meeting is twofold.
This meeting is being recorded.
I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone while you can stay muted until it's your turn to talk. The purpose of this meeting is twofold. One, to give information to the public about the application and the project as proposed, and two, to get information from the public on the application. We have received, I believe, 16 written public comments in this matter have been filed. And I know that there are folks that want to speak tonight. So we'll get to that portion of the hearing second. First, I'd like to start with appearances from counsel, starting with the applicant.
Yes, Your Honor. Max Cook on behalf of the applicant, Rosehip Cleantech, LLC.
And who do you have with you today, Mr. Cook?
I'm also joined by Mr. Sammy Ayorgan, founder and CEO of the project company. Additionally, I'm joined by Mr. Dane Bauer and Ms. Melissa Hall from H&B Solutions, the environmental consultants for the project. Your Honor, Mr. Bauer does have an environmental overview presentation to provide, if you'd like us to do that or wait until all appearances are entered.
I'll take appearances and then I'll return to Mr. Bauer. Thank you, Mr. Cook. PPRP.
Good evening, Your Honor. My name is Sandra McLemore on behalf of the Power Plant Research Program. And with me tonight, I have Christopher Adlin, who's the project manager with PPRP for this project.
Good evening, Ms. McLemore. Sorry. Will you please state for the record and for the public what PPRP is and what your role is in this proceeding?
Sure. PPRP is a part of the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. In the CPCN process, PPRP is responsible for carrying out an independent review of the environmental, natural resources, and socioeconomic impacts of the project. Based on that review, the Power Plant Research Program provides the PSC with its recommendations, along with any recommended conditions on behalf of the 7 reviewing state agencies. These state agencies are the Department of Natural Resources, the Maryland Department of Environment, Maryland Energy Administration, the Maryland Department of Agriculture, the Maryland Department of Transportation, the Department of Planning, and the Department of Commerce. All of our recommendations and our analysis will be included in the initial filing made in this case in the docket, and that will be available at the Commission's website.
Thank you, Ms. McLemore. Office of People's Counsel. I'll note for the record that no one from the Office of People's Counsel has joined this public hearing today. I will let folks know that the Office of People's Counsel represents residential ratepayers in the state of Maryland and can be contacted. The information is on the Commission website if you want to contact them. Staff.
Good evening, Your Honor. James Greger on behalf of staff.
Mr. Greger, can you let folks know what is staff and what do you do?
Staff is the technical staff of the Maryland Public Service Commission, and our responsibility is to conduct an independent analysis of the application from a technical standpoint, and then provide that analysis and any recommendations to the commission in this case, or in this case, the law judge.
Thank you. And Mr. Simpkins, are you here tonight? There's another party in this matter that's apparently not here. It's Mr. Simpkins. He represents the Board of County Commissioners.
Your Honor, I am here.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here, Your Honor, and 3 commissioners are here: Charles Laird, Darrell Webster, and Eldon Willing, along with County Administrator Doug Taylor, and the Director of Technical and Community Service, Mary Phillips, here.
Sorry, I'm just writing down those names so I have them for the record. Thank you, Mr. Simpkins. I don't think I have to ask you to explain who the county is, so I think we're good to go there. So I'll return to the applicant for a brief overview of the project as proposed. Was that Mr. Bauer?
Thank you, Your Honor. I am one of the owners with Melissa Hall and a company called H&B Solutions, and we oversee the technical team for the project, which included all the special studies that were done. And I'm going to give you a quick summary of the result of those analyses and the regulatory approach for the project so that it conforms with all the federal, state, and local rules. First of all, the property was determined to have fairly good soils. The property drains well, and it's only has a 0 to 5% slope. So under the state of Maryland rules, the stormwater management can be handled by non-rooftop disconnect credits. The amount of dewatering that we'll have to do on such a small site is de minimis. We went to the Department of the Environment and they issued an exemption to the project so that the contractor can perform whatever dewatering is necessary and be covered with that exemption. The forest conservation requirements, there's no cutting trees here. So it's only going to be afforestation, and using the worksheet from the county, the acreage that we'll have to mitigate for is about 2.55 acres. And the applicant has taken necessary steps to be able to comply with that. This is not in the critical area, but it is in a tier 2 catchment area. And in communications with the Department of the Environment, they determined that this particular catchment area, which is in Dividing Creek, which goes to the lower Pocomoke, does have additional assimilative capacity. So we were not required to go through the full-blown tier 2 analysis, but when we do obtain the notice of intent under the NPDES stormwater discharge permit, we will be required to complete a tier 2 checklist. There was a very small wetland area, about 1,690 square feet, in the middle of a crop field. The Maryland Department of the Environment said from a quality standpoint, it was isolated and that we would be able to grade it or fill it. We've actually gotten the permit already from the Department of the Environment. It's a letter of authorization. Maryland Historic Trust, we reached out to them. They said that there were no historic property impacts. They did not require determination of eligibility forms, and they neither required any other kind of on-site studies. DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, sent us a letter about endangered species and whether or not there was any critical species involved in the property, and they said there was no issue. And we got a similar letter from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I thought I'd mention real quick some of the setbacks so that people know how the property is going to be oriented. From the front of the property that borders the street, there's a 75-foot setback. From the back of the property, there's a 30-foot setback. On each side, there's a 50-foot setback. But probably equally important, there's a tax ditch on the back of this property that was viewed by PPRP and their consultants during the site visit. And we've got notice from both the county and the Soil Conservation District office that we'll be required to maintain a 20-foot setback from that tax ditch. And the other thing I want to mention on setbacks is there is an ag ditch that is not jurisdictional, but we are maintaining a 15-foot setback from that, as we've done for most of the projects that we've worked on. And there will be a landscape buffer planted in order to provide an appropriate screen for the project. That completes my overview. Appreciate it, Your Honor.
Several of the public comments that we've received thus far have to do with the setback and the landscape buffer. Do you have the details with you today on the landscape buffer that's as proposed?
It's a 20-foot landscape buffer, and on the site plan, which I don't have here, it wraps around the sides of the project. It doesn't go all the way back. So where it meets with trees on the side, the buffer screening stops, but it is 100% on the front of the property. So passersby would not see it. And there's a house. If you're looking from the road into the project, there's a house on the left quite close. It'll be fully screened with the same screening.
Okay, thank you. It should be stated that the proposed location of this project is the north side of West Post Office Road, approximately 2,050 feet west of the intersection of Pete's Hill Road and West Post Office Road. It's 18.28 acres out of approximately 20.13 acres, and it's associated with tax map 0011, grid 0021, parcel 0027. The public hearing tonight is virtual. There will be an additional public hearing that will be physical near the location of the proposed site. That second public hearing will be at a date, time, and location to be determined. It will be on either July 19th or July 20th. In addition, the application is available for public inspection or copying at the Somerset County Department of Planning and Zoning, which is County Office Complex, room number 211 at 11916 Somerset Avenue, Princess Anne, Maryland, 21853. I did not receive requests from the public to issue comments today. We have received several written comments, and those are available on the Commission's website. But I did receive correspondence from Doug Taylor, the county administrator, stating that several folks from the county wanted to speak today, and I don't want to go ahead and call you all by name. I'll let you decide who wants to go first. But we're turning now to the portion of the hearing where members of the public can comment on the proposal. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Taylor or whoever wants to speak first. If you could just introduce yourself, spell your first and last name for the court reporter, and then make your comment.
Your Honor, it's Kirk Simpkins again. Just one thing I wanted to point out, our Department of Technical and Community Service is having a problem getting us a copy of the full-size prints so we can look at the project rather than having to blow it up on a computer or something. I just want to make that comment, and we've been promised the prints, promised the originals. We can't get them, so that'd be the only comment that I would have. I'll turn it over to Darrell Webster, who's commissioner from the district in which this project's going to be proposed.
Good evening. First, I'm going to try to be short. First of all, I'd like to say that the obvious is the close proximity to residential housing. There's ordinances out there outlined for large-scale utility facilities, solar facilities, and siting requirements within the county, and the ordinance requirements were researched and adopted due to the impact of Somerset County residents. The county adopted these siting criteria, standards, and restrictions for just specific purpose of addressing the citizens' concerns. And I'll move on to the loss of agricultural land in the area. Speaking again to the screening and setbacks, there's requirements in the county on par with those adopted in other neighboring counties and required by the commission and for applications in other jurisdictions. And the screening and setback requirements for those panels, inverters, transformers should not receive a variance from PSC. And the setbacks are 75 feet from all property lines and roads and right of ways. And I see that that's being pushed to the side or being moved to the side according to what they're proposing from the company. That's all from me. Thank you.
Oh, Your
Thank-
Honor,
Thank you, Mr. Webster.
Your Honor, Charles Laird. I represent the county commissioners at present capacity, and I'm District 4 Commissioner, which is on the opposite side of the road in front of this actual site. And in that area, we've got the Dividing Creek Rural Legacy Target and the protected state lands that this is going to be near. Somerset County has its zoning ordinance, which outlines and the process of large utility, which we've already talked about. But to me, roughly 11 homes around that area, almost $2 million in tax base. And I'm here basically to say, speaking for all the constituents in this county in that area, that they've put their life savings in this. That's their home. They built this to raise their families, to do as they need to do to survive. And this is really tough when you look across the road or beside where this is going to be, knowing that in the future, this probably won't be there producing any kind of energy. And there's another brownfield, another area that we don't know what to do with. It'll never be ag land again, no matter what people say, because you can't dig all this up and fix the soil back like it was now. And I'm basically here asking for everybody to understand solar is fine in certain places, but this isn't the place. And to me, for a small project like this, you're shoving it in these constituents area that they don't need to have to deal with. And I appreciate the time to comment, and that's all I have.
Your
Thank you.
Honor, if I could add a couple more things that, and I'm sure you're aware of this, this was proposed solar field before. And we went through the Department of Technical and Community Service and in front of the county commissioners, and it was turned down and withdrawn before it got to the final vote. I'm assuming that they probably thought it wasn't going to pass. So now they've done the end run. They're not taking into account any of our local laws in regard to this. And so that's the reason for the people not being in favor of it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Webster. Was there someone else who wanted to speak from the county commissioners today? No. Mr. Cook.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is the second time I've heard a complaint that the applications as provided didn't have big enough maps or big enough illustrations to be understood. So I'm going to ask you outside of this hearing to contact Mr. Simpkins and to make sure that that is taken care of before we go any further with this proceeding.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I don't have any questions or any tasks for any of the other parties in this matter. So this hearing will be concluded. Before I do that, written comment may be filed with the Maryland Public Service Commission. It can be mailed or it can be electronically filed. We will also take further public comment at the next public comment hearing. The next public comment hearing, the parties are a little further down the road with discovery, and there's usually a little more information at that time. So I expect that things, there may be more information or changed information at that time. So I will thank all of the parties who showed up tonight and who are participating in this hearing. And I thank the county commissioners for your comments. Those will be taken into account in the record and in my order. And I look forward to seeing folks first at the second public comment hearing in person and then at the evidentiary hearing in this matter. Does any party have anything else that we need to take up tonight? Hearing nothing, we can go off the record and this hearing is ended.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Master Court Reporter, are we off the record?
We're off the record, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.